We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Expert. My name is Walter Jennings.
I'm Jules Smith.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Alicia.
And we're your Couples Academy practitioners. It is our honor to be here to answer your questions. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ask the Experts. So really past exciting couple of days, past week. Jeff, we've had some awesome wins that we've heard about in Foundry, man. So really excited about that. And Keisha, with the Unearthed retreat last weekend, you want to share a few details about how that went?
Man, listen, I'm still on a high from that Unearthed retreat, man. The ladies are still conversing. The ladies are still like, man, just talking about how much we miss each other, how impactful of an encounter and experience it was. And I want to say this, you know, the enemy will have us believe that women can't get along. Society will have us believe that women can't get along, and other women will have you believe that women can't get along. But when I tell you there was no cattiness, there was no backbiting, there was no drama. Oh, that's me right there. Kind of like, you see me? But yeah, like we were dancing. What'd you say?
Keep talking. We've got photographic evidence. Keep talking.
I know, right? We were dancing. We were fellowshipping. We hugged. We laughed. We cried. We learned. I mean, and everybody learned something from someone else. There was nobody there that did not impart some level of wisdom into the group or into another woman. And it was just beautiful. And when I tell you, we're already talking about like, this can't be one time a year. We need to have this more than once a year because it was just so good. But we're still on a high. We're still full. It was amazing. Shout out to Danielle because this is her vision. And when I tell you, she brought that thing together and God showed up and he did what only he can do. And it was amazing.
Absolutely. Shout out again to Danielle Pettiford, the co-founder of Couples Academy, and to all of the women who are able to attend the Unearthed retreat and a part of the Unearthed program. Even if you weren't able to attend the retreat, as Keisha said, be sure to keep your ears and eyes open for the next dates and times when that will take place. Jeff, as I mentioned, Foundry, we had some really great gains and wins this week from some of our brothers in the group. So really excited about that.
Yeah, I was actually blown away. I had a guy, he's been through struggles. I mean, he is the amazing man. Like just watching him, the way he cares for his child and even though they're separated and he's showing up, shoveling snow, doing all kinds of things to just show that he still cares and still there, driving 2 states of like 600 miles to just go see his son in a hospital when she was moved out of state, all those kinds of things. He showed up, works like 2-3 jobs. And he had this goal. He wanted to become a loan officer, and he was having a real hard time learning how to do the mortgage test. And he just took the exam and passed it. And he was just thankful for the community that Foundry creates that shows up to help him get that accomplished. And I've actually seen some wins in my other group. One man was disconnected from his daughter for years, and he made a commitment in a 30-day challenge to his own setup. It's something he decided to do as part of our Compass projects, what we call Compass projects, to reconnect with her in 30 days after not talking for a long time. And he actually broke through and did it. I said, if you got to get on a plane and show up, you got to show up. So he knew D-Day was coming. He knew he was going to have to get on that plane. So he just started calling and texting and calling and texting and calling and texting. And he had the right attitude, no judgment. And that happened. And we had, one guy, his wife never does nothing for him because he messed up. He really messed up. We had another guy. Basically, he came home one day and didn't have time to do his green smoothie. One of the things that we do is try to eat healthier. And so he was doing that in the morning. And he came in the kitchen and he was like, I think it's actually starting to work. she had his green smoothie ready just like he liked it. She'd been paying attention in silence to what he was doing and saw the changes and made a difference. Another man who his situation, I was like, I'm shocked she stayed situation. And his wife went to the doctor and she came back and she was like, well, how you doing? How was the doctor's appointment? And she was like, you know what? It was really good. I told the doctor, the doctor said I looked happier. And she said, she told her husband this, which was a huge step in their relationship. That she looked happier. He said, well, what is it? And she's like, I'm not doing anything different. My husband's doing something different. Tell the doctor how happy she was to see him working on himself. She'd been trying to get him to do it for years. And so it's just been phenomenal to see the changes in these men's lives as they progress, as they advance. And there's more stories. I just don't have time. I don't want to take up the whole show with that.
I think that makes all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. That truly does. You know, being a spouse, you know, being in a relationship that had issues and infidelities and things like that. When you can actually see your spouse doing the work and not talking, it makes all the difference in the world, because you can tell me anything. You can, say, I'm doing this, I'm going to do that. I feel this way, I feel that way. But when you see it in action, just freely, that will make you soften up. That makes you open up. And that makes all the changes in the world.
Many of us are trying to improve our relationship without improving ourselves. And so like Unearthed and Foundry, those allow you the chance to have the strategies and the tools and the platforms to really work on yourself. And what you find is that as you commit yourself to that individual growth, a lot of that collective growth will fall in alignment with it, because not only are you helping improve yourself, you're creating the atmosphere and modeling that type of growth. So again, kudos to Unearthed. Shout out to Jeff Witt and Foundry, and be sure to get more information. I want to go ahead and jump right into this first question. We got our man Ben from Tennessee. Ben says, good morning. Out on the lake as an unfaithful, as the betrayer, how do I get out of the numbness and apathy against my spouse since I ended the affair? It's been 7 months and my positive feelings toward spouse haven't returned. She knows it and it's awkward. So what can he do? And Ben, we know that we've heard from you a few times. And so again, just as we're describing, there is some individual commitments that you are going to have to make. Some of the comments that you previously made really points to the fact that you have to once again choose your wife. That's the first thing. And then acknowledge the work that it is going to need to take for you to get back in a relationship with her that symbolizes the newness of the marriage that both of you want to see. And again, both of you have to have buy-in and have a say in exactly what that newness looks like. Jewel, what do you say?
I agree. I completely agree. You have to focus on you right now and making you a better person. Doing the things that you're doing now is not working. But one of the things I would say is respect goes a long way. So if you can find your way to respect not only your wife, yourself, and your marriage, that would make a lot of changes.
I'm going to just say, Ben, I've seen you on here a few times for a while, saying the same thing over and over and over again. And we know it, if we do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, I'm telling you, you need to join Foundry. And the reason why I'm saying this, you may not be able to handle me, bruh. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to say is, if you don't learn how to control your mind will control you. And right now, your mind is controlling you based on stimuli from an outside source. And when you learn that the outside world affects your thoughts affect your emotions start wearing on you when you don't have control over them, and starts to affect your sense of being who you are, you will have no control over your decisions, your emotions, your feelings, your love, your care for anyone. It will move like the weather. It will turn on and turn off. And when you learn to get that thermostat that we give you in Foundry, you're going to be able to set a temperature, and you're going to find that it comes back. It's one thing to feel this idea of love. It's another thing to experience total love. That's a decision, actions, behaviors, and habits that creates the environment for love to happen. And I'm going to tell you, if you're in the right condition and you set the right environment, love is something that just naturally pours out of you. It's not something that you feel today and don't feel tomorrow.
All right, Keisha, I know how you're feeling, but I just want to throw the ball in your court. You sure?
Man, look here.
That was
I already said it. I said what I said. Make a decision. You got to make a decision. At the end of the day, man, everything starts with our mindset. And until you shift your mindset and whatever, make a decision. Make a decision about what it is that you want, what it is that you're willing to commit to and do. And everything that you guys said, I 100% agree with, specifically Jeff. And I love what you said about creating the environment for love, because love is a feeling, but it is also an action. And so the reality is this: if you are not doing anything, your feelings will not change because you haven't created that space and opportunity for love. So I love that you said that, Jeff. I hope that that resonated with you, Ben, and everyone else who may be in a similar situation, because that is something I had to learn the hard way. I have to create space and opportunity for a love environment, and I need to be lovable. If I'm not lovable, I don't care what type of environment my husband is creating, I'm not lovable. So I still got to deal with me. It comes back to dealing with me, not pointing the finger at everybody else, not blaming everybody else, but taking ownership and responsibility for my role and what I bring or don't bring to the table. So
now, I think
make a decision.
Absolutely. So feelings should influence behavior, which should lead to actions that then ultimately create culture, which creates environment and atmosphere. So it's important to remember that. Keisha, I want to throw this question to you. It's from Chris. Chris says, I watched the day after the recording. The other day, Hassani was talking about insecurities, and he brought up access to devices. I do have access to my unfaithful wife's devices. However, during the affair, she had a secret cell phone. How can a person overcome that insecurity?
I mean, honestly, this is definitely a tough space because, you know, unfortunately, your spouse went above and beyond to hide their affair and to, you know, try to keep it away from you as much as possible. So that will create insecurities. But anytime there is a situation where you have some insecurities, you do have to look at where that stem from, where that come from in the first place. One of the things that we're always trying to focus on here at Couples Academy is control what you can control. And that's you. You can't control what your spouse is doing or not doing or whatever the case may be. Hopefully, you guys have gone through a process of healing and transformation where you've worked on your relationship. You've gone through full disclosure. I don't know where you are in this process, but there has to be a commitment that's made on both parts to, one, make sure that there are no further betrayals, and yes, to have access to things, but also, you know, when we take you through 19 signs of a close call friendship, you're creating those boundaries, because many times we come into relationships and we have these unrealistic, unknown expectations of our spouses and things that they were completely unaware of. So I think it's important that you guys have that boundary list, that foundation set where you both have an understanding of what's acceptable and what's not. But in terms of your insecurities, if there's anything that is going on inside of you, you control what you can control, and the rest you truly have to give over to God, because you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to check this and look for that and look for that. Like you're going to drive yourself insane. So control what you can control.
I want to get one more question in before we go to break really quick. So, Jeff, this is for you. Francisca says from South Carolina, should I worry if my spouse just flipped the script on me? He went from arguing every day about my decision to step out to not arguing. Things seem like it's back to normal before it's been 7 months. So, in other words, should she be concerned as it relates to things getting back to normal?
I think that's a discussion to be had between you and him, because honestly, if there was some kind of transitory change, it could have been from anything. It could be something from the dark side that you don't want to hear about. You know, I don't even want to give you those things to put in your mind. But it could also be that he actually had a wake-up call. You know, there are events that happen in our lives that are sometimes very subtle. And what sounds like to me that you're not having is clear, open, and honest, transparent conversations about what's going on in the mind, what's going on in the heart, without an attitude of argument. See, a lot of us want to have conversations, but we're going in with our guns loaded and our fists balled up. And when we can go into that environment and be ready and say, look, here's a safe zone. Whatever you say in a safe zone, I'm not going to hold it against you because this is your chance to be honest. I found that not only worked with my wife, but it worked with my kids. My kids now come to me when they mess up because they know that I will flip out if I find out about it first before they tell me, before they bring it to me. But they have learned, not from just my words, but from my actions, that if they bring it to me, we solve it together, and they come with a contrite heart, we can work through almost anything. So at the end of the day, that is the thing that you have to do. You have to create a safe space for that honest and open communication that does not hold, just like Jesus says, look, you come to me with this, and you drop it at this cross, you're not going to have that burden anymore. We have to emulate that in our marriages as well, where like, I'm not saying like, go to church and pray on Sunday, forgive me, God, go do it again. But a real, true, honest, contrite heart, someone comes to you and tells you what's going on in their lives and where they messed up. We have to be ready to receive that and ready to move on.
You're tuned in to Ask the Experts. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more of your questions.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Back to Ask the Experts. We are your Couples Academy practitioners, Walter Jennings, along with Jewel Smith, Jeff Witt, and Lakeisha Hines. We are answering your questions and hearing from your comments. Jewel, I want to throw this question to you. This is from Sean. Sean says, I had an affair 3 years ago, and I never dealt with it, or we never talked about it. I kind of shut down, and now my wife is in an affair since May, and it still is, and it's very hard to work on the things that we need to work on.
So my question would be, have you guys reached out to get any form of counsel? It goes to go say.
Yeah, out of town 6 weeks at a time. And we've been together 22 years. We've been married 5.5 and dating and need help.
You really need to reach out to either Couples Academy, someone in your area, something, because you're going to need a third party. You're going to have someone come in, and you guys are going to have to really get together and have these hard conversations. This is something that, we do, but you guys have to put together a plan to say this, we want our marriage to work. And then in doing that, these hard conversations will come, but you're going to need a third party. You're going to have someone sit in and help you guys hash out how to make this thing work again.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. Jewel hit the nail on the head, where part of the reason why that you all are in the situation that you're in is because there are some things that have gone unspoken. and you all are turning outside of the marriage to get some needs met when you all really should be turning inward. So you definitely need a mediator, someone to help you all have those courageous conversations and figure out exactly what is going on individually, and for you all to be able to come up with solutions and strategies to figure out exactly how to strengthen your marriage and your relationship. And listen, just because you are not talking about it does not mean it is not having a definitive impact on your marriage. Time does not make things just go away. You have to be able to address it. And the longer that you go without addressing a problem, it does not go away. It actually gets larger and it becomes more problematic. So absolutely be sure to reach out to us and get help with that situation. All right, Jeff, want to throw this question your way. This is from Jay. Jay says, I'm past the shock of the affair that my spouse had. Now I'm dealing with not wanting to be with her because of what she said. We did choose to stay together and work on this marriage. It is so difficult dealing with the pain and what she has put us through. How do I get past this?
Okay, so this is classic. Trauma, when you go through any kind of traumatic experience, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical, there is this idea of that lingers from the past holding on to you, right? We call it the pit. So when you get in this pit, it feels like you can't get out. You're climbing, you keep scratching at the walls, and they're just all around you. It just seems so hard to get out of this pit. Well, the problem with trying to get out of the pit is you're turning outward to look for certain things that are outside of you to happen before you can do this. And that pain just keeps wrapping around you and swallowing you. But when you turn inward, and that there's a process to learning this, because none of us can do this on our own. Like, we have a whole world of just nothing but external stimuli all the time. Our minds are going. I bet you very few people have the ability to just sit in a room by themselves for 2 days without thinking negatively and having complete control over their thoughts, their emotions. It's very, very difficult. And so when you're stuck with yourself, sometimes you don't like that. So you look for external stimuli, and there's just nothing but pain. And we tend to hold on to that pain because there's a security and a control in holding on to the pain. Because I know this enemy, if I trust again, if I love again, if I yield again, then it's going to be so much worse. I'd rather just sit here in this because I know what this feels like. To get beyond that, you have to do some internal work. There's 4 quadrants in a human being. There's your spiritual, your sense of identity and who you are, what you want to accomplish in this world, your relationship with God and your relationship with your community around you. There's your sense of emotion, which is really has to do a lot with your interaction with others. Right? Because if you have that strong spiritual center, you're okay by yourself. Now it's got to learn how to not react to others, but respond to others to help create an environment of safety around them. And then there's your physical and your financial quadrants. All 4 of those have to be in some kind of balance on the positive side of things for us to execute control over our lives. And so to get back that feeling that you're looking for, where you want to connect with your wife again, where you feel like you want to connect with your wife again, you actually have to turn inward first. And one thing I want to say to the victims out there, the victims of infidelity, and I'm using the word victim for a reason. Victimization, other than the actual moment that it's happening to you, something bad is happening to you, the choice to stay a victim is a choice. Right. And so as you just, I want to say this, you have to look at, and this is one thing, if you've been past the affair, I'm not placing blame and I'm not excusing anyone else, but you have to look at what environment did I create that contributed to the ability for this affair to happen? And if we can hold that mirror up to ourselves and say we're 100% guilt-free, then I agree with you. Maybe you need to make decisions about where you're at. But you can look up and say, I wasn't caring. I wasn't loving. I didn't honor my vows to love, cherish, honor till death do us part. I wasn't there. I wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't there spiritually. I wasn't there. I abandoned, neglected, right, the attention that was required. Then you need to work on those environments in order to be able to feel and express that love again. You have to be able to create a new environment that allows love to come back in.
Keisha, I was going to ask you to chime in as a practitioner who has dealt with individuals that have been betrayed. What are some of the things that you found effective when it comes to individuals like Jay, who actually they want to move forward in the relationship, but are really challenged with really reconciling within themselves and coming to grips with what has happened and embracing what that looks like? You're muted, Keisha.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Jay, thank you for your question first and foremost, because again, you're not the only person I'm sure that's dealing with this. So we appreciate all your questions, but specifically this one, I appreciate. I think that, for me, I wanted to get to a certain weight goal, right? I wanted a certain physical goal that I was trying to achieve, and I just wasn't getting there on my own. So I had to bring in a third party. I had to bring in a trainer to help me. Why did I need a trainer? Well, I needed somebody to help me push past the pain, because that's the truth. When it starts to hurt, I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop. It doesn't feel good. It hurts. I don't want to keep going. So I need somebody to get in my ear and help me to push past the pain. So I had to do that. And you may need to do that as well. You may need to reach out to us so we can help you push past the pain. Secondly, though, something else when it comes to infidelity, that not only do you have to push past the pain, one of the things that keeps you stuck and prevents you from pushing past the pain is that you need to push past the fear, because that's the thing that keeps you stuck. You're afraid that, and Jeff, you kind of started alluding to this. If you think about having to be vulnerable, having to trust, having to let your guard down, having to open up, having to, put yourself in a position where you may be hurt again, it's terrifying. It's terrifying because this person has already shown you that they can hurt you, that they're capable of doing that. So it's terrifying. It is, but you've got to be willing to push past the fear. There's certain things that need to be in place so that you have more confidence and more security, for sure. That's the part of your spouse. But the most important thing is that you make a decision that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how afraid I am, if I'm saying that I'm choosing, which you did, you said we chose to stay together and work on this marriage. That means that you are saying I'm going to push past the fear and I'm going to push past the pain.
And the Couples Academy, again, is here to partner with you in your process of being able to move forward. So be sure to call and schedule a discovery call. That's 678. It just disappeared. That's 678-200-8996. Or go to couplesacademy.org. Once again, we're here for your comments and your questions. Jewel, anything that you want to chime in to Jay as it relates to how to push past the affair?
Well, Jeff and Keisha said it all. But what I would add to that is, you said you both decided to stay in your marriage. That means that work has to come from both of you. That work doesn't just come from her. It has to come from you. And in that work, you have to work on yourself. You have to work on how you feel. But, when you guys come together and y'all made that decision, y'all also have to sit down and say, okay, what is this work gonna look like? Mm-hmm. And when you figure that out and what it looks like, that's what you go for. But for me, and just in my experience, I had to be intentional every day. Things that I was afraid to do, I didn't want to be hurt anymore. I didn't want to have to live in that fear. I had to every day say that I want my marriage, and I had to do whatever it took for me to get out of that feeling that I had myself stuck in. If your wife is doing the work to the degree that, where she's doing her part, then there's a part that you're going to have to do too. You're going to have to give up some of that feeling. And you're going to have to work hard on it every day. No one ever said that this was going to be easy, but it's definitely, the outcome is definitely worth it.
Coming towards the end of the show, so we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Ask the Experts. tuned in to Ask the Experts here on the Couples Academy Network and want to make sure that everyone is aware of Lindsay's answer to her question. Lindsay says, can Jeff be contacted directly about getting into the Foundry group? Jeff, what say you? You're muted, Jeff.
If you want to talk directly to me about that, that's absolutely fine. What I would suggest you do is schedule the time on the for discovery call, or call the number directly. They'll let me know, give them a general idea of your availability, and I'll make that call. I'll call you directly, and I can discuss with you what Foundry is about, or answer any of the questions, concerns that you may have. Or Hassani also knows everything because he's a part of that too. But
I was going to share too that in addition to talking to Hassani and Jeff, I would recommend, if you want to reach out to one of the brothers, myself, Gonzalez, who's always on here, if you want to talk to us about what Foundry is like from a practical standpoint. From us, I don't serve anything I don't eat. So, I got a chance to go through Foundry because I don't want to recommend anything to anyone that I myself have not been able to go part through myself. It is absolutely life-changing and transformational, not just for your marriage, but for you as an individual. It reminded and uncovered and challenged and pushed me in ways that I had either forgotten about or never even thought of. So there are some things that are inside of you that you really are going to be needing to push forward towards, and Foundry is one of the perfect ways to help you do that. So I cannot recommend it strongly enough. Lakeisha, can you share a little bit about Unearthed for us?
Well, I was just going to say with Foundry too, if you know for sure that you're ready, just go to couplesacademy.org, go to the website and look at our services, and you'll see Foundry, and you can sign up there directly if you know that you're ready. And Jewel will probably be better at speaking about Unearthed because I'm starting the new cycle. Jewel has already kind of been there, done that. So I'm going to toss that to you, sis.
Well, wait a second. I just want to say this. Jewel can speak about Foundry and Unearthed. She can talk about
So let me tell you about, as a wife who has a husband in Foundry has been phenomenal. I have seen my husband just completely transform into a totally different man, and not just for our marriage, but just for himself. For men, they kind of already have this mindset on what it's supposed to be like to be a man, a husband, a father. And sometimes those things that you're taught is not good. It's not good. You just forget all of that. And it does take a while when you've been, going a certain way for a while, but to see him have a brotherhood that has his best heart at interest and help him move forward into his purpose and to be the man that God has called him to be, that is something that, it's like, where were you at all their lives, but to have it now, especially if you're going through any issues in your marriage, any infidelities or whatever, to help that man get back on track and to get back into his own self, to his new self, not his old self, but his new self. Foundry is where they need to be. And as far as Unearthed, ladies, if you have struggled just finding out who you are, it's not about your husband, it's not about your children, it's not about your job, it's about you and helping you find you. It's been such a blessing, for you guys who know and don't know about the Enneagram numbers. I'm an 8. So I'm an extremely aggressive Don't shake your head, Jeff. I can come at you, but to have a place to go and learn about yourself and take that part of you and make it work for you for the better and for the good. All I can say is if you're struggling with your own identity and wanting to become the best you, Unearthed is definitely the place you need to be.
Yeah, I want to tease this really quick, right? So I have this belief. So all of us are born with a toolbox. And in this toolbox, right, there are different tools that we have. And some of those things, it'll be obvious how to use those tools. Other tools that you have to get with certain individuals that have the knowledge of how to use it. And so the challenge is not that you don't have the proper tools. The challenge is that you haven't necessarily aligned yourself with the individuals that can show you exactly how to utilize it in a productive and constructive way. And that is what Unearthed and Foundry is all about. It's helping you to set your focus. It's helping to make sure that your why is aligned with your what, and that you're turned towards the right things that are going to be beneficial for you as an individual and also beneficial for your marriage and your relationship as well. So listen, you all, this has been Ask the Experts. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're here each and every single Friday morning for your questions. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on the Couples Academy app. And on behalf of the Couples Academy, my name is Walter Jennings.
I'm Lakeisha.
I'm Jewel.
This has been Ask the Experts. Be sure to tune in on Monday morning for the Couples Academy show at 9 a.m. with Danielle and Hassani. Thank you all so much for tuning in. See y'all soon.
Bye.